This is the Raw Life Health Show. Raw Life.
Hello, everybody. This is Paul Neeson with the Raw Life Health Show. And I want to talk to you a little bit about the raw lifestyle, the raw food diet, or raw vegan diet in general. And, years ago when I first became a vegetarian, I was getting into it. I remember Paul McCartney's wife, Linda McCartney, who was an avid vegetarian, passed away. And a lot of people used to question, well, if vegetarianism is so healthy, why did she pass away? And you hear that quite often. If somebody's so healthy, why did they pass away? Well, first of all, I know a lot of people that are eating the standard American diet that are passing away. I don't see that stopping people from eating that way. But basically, we know that there are certain foods that aren't healthy for our bodies. There are certain things that absolutely should not be in our bodies. They're not even food. They're pretty much chemicals wrapped up in a piece of paper. And a great way to tell is to understand that real food has a life process to it. It has a ripening stage, a freshness stage, and a rotting stage. That's what real food is. So you look at fruits and vegetables. You have a ripening stage, a freshness stage, and a rotting stage. Now, if you have something that could be in a wrapper for 20 years and look the same way when you open it up, that's not raw, ripe, fresh, and organic. That's not healthy. So today's topic is about what truly is healthy, but I also want to address what's not healthy. So the healthy way to go, and I talk about it often, are the foods that our body can get the most from and use the least amount of energy to get them. So those are the ideal foods for us to consume, and that would be raw, ripe, organic, fresh fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds eaten properly, food combined at the right time, in the right amount. Okay, now, the foods that are not good for us, or the foods that are good for us and deceivably not good for us, is what happens when you get raw food, but it's not in the form of a raw, ripe, fresh, organic fruit, vegetable, nut, or seed. Now, you could take a banana and you could blend it up, or you can't juice a banana, but let's say an apple. You could take an apple and you could juice the apple, and now you got a juice. You could also blend it up and you got applesauce, or you have the whole apple. In any form, the apple is still nothing added, no preservatives. It's still an apple, and it's wonderful for our bodies. Now, if I take that apple, and even if I make a raw food apple pie, but let's just say I make the average apple pie, I slice that apple up, I add a ton of sugar to it, and a whole bunch of preservatives to it, and I add a crust to it with bleached flour and everything, and I stick it in a microwave oven, that apple is no longer a healthy food for us. When I first got into health, I used to deceive myself thinking, well, I'm just going to eat apple pie. So I used to go to McDonald's and get the little apple pies that they used to throw in the microwave oven and used to eat and burn your tongue with one bite of it. It was so hot. That wasn't healthy. And I used to justify, well, I'm eating an apple. No, folks. There's a difference between eating healthy and not eating healthy, and raw foods aren't the difference. Just because a food is raw or just because a food is natural doesn't mean it's good for us. Apples are natural. Eating an apple is wonderful for us, but eating a candy apple is not wonderful for us or our teeth. It's not good for us. So we have to realize these things. But now there's a deception out there because you get into this raw vegan thing and all of a sudden you think, well, if it's raw vegan, it has to be good for us. I mean, first of all, if something's dehydrated, I don't consider it truly raw because even though the enzymes are still preserved, it was cooked through the form of dehydration. It's taken out of its original state. But even with the idea of a raw food that's been dehydrated, look, I used to say when I first got into this, I stopped eating an organic junk food diet and I started eating fresher foods. Meaning, if you have a cookie, an organic cookie that's vegan, versus a regular cookie that's still not vegan, it's still a cookie. It doesn't make it a good food. It might not be as bad because it's organic, but it's still a cookie. So when we think about that, it's not a fresh food. Now I can say the same thing about raw foods, the raw junk foods. If you have a raw food cookie versus an apple, folks, it doesn't make it a great food. It's still a cookie. It's a lot better than the average Pop-Tart or the average cookie that has milk and cream and poison in it, but it's still a cookie. It's not a healthy food. So do I eat healthy raw food snacks or raw food junk food? Occasionally I might grab a a dehydrated kale chip or something, and I would be open to eating a raw food thing, but I'm not going to do what I see a lot of raw fooders do, and that is eating all these raw food cookies, cakes, and candies just to maintain that 100% raw food status. No, we need to think this out, folks, and eat the foods, again, that are going to give our body the most nutrients and digest as easy as possible. There is one company out there, I believe it's Go Raw. I was at a health exhibit years ago, and they had their raw food bar, and they actually were able to sprout the bar. So they sprouted the bar, and it actually sprouted. So that's a great example to tell if the life process is still in there. But however, they took all the water out of it, and it's still a dehydrating product. So you want to eat foods as close. I used to say you want to eat foods as close to nature as possible. And no, that doesn't mean getting a Twinkie and going to the park and eating it. No, eating foods as close to nature as possible. So basically, getting an apple, picking it off the tree, sitting in front of the tree and eating it. That's as close to nature as possible. The longer it takes from getting from the tree to your plate or the ground to your plate, that determines how fresh it is and to a tremendous degree how healthy it is or healthy it isn't. So eat your foods as close to nature as possible, as close to the time they were picked. If you get something like a papaya, flown here from Hawaii, which they're all GMO, don't do that. But if you did, and it's sitting on your countertop, that's not as fresh as getting a papaya from the tree down the block that you just took off that morning and you ate. So that's what I'm trying to get at, and we need to keep those things in mind. And so the raw food deception is something we need to be careful with, folks, and we need to understand the best way to go are the foods that digest is most simple and give us the most, and those would be raw, ripe, fresh, again, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. But do it in the right context. Don't do it in the wrong context, okay? Thank you for checking me out today. Put your comments and questions below the video. Until then, have a great day and a great raw life.
Nature's wealth, good for your health. This is the Raw Life Health Show. Raw Life, brighten up your life.